Hey everybody, my name is Steven and welcome back to the Storytime channel. Without wasting any time, let's get into our stories of the day. Crappy boss will forever regret trying to bring the thunder. Backstory: I started working in care of the elderly before I graduated school at age 17 as a temp worker. And after I graduated, I basically worked full-time for several years, finally got a steady employment at age 23. I take pride in my job. And even though I didn't study medical stuff, I've always made sure I know everything I need to know to do a good job. With online classes, certificates, reading up on medications, treatment recommendations, etc. Everything was going well, despite me having 4 different bosses in the first 5 years of work. No one wants to be the boss here. Economically speaking, it's a sinking ship, since it's government run and dependent on tax money. Then friendly boss, Lena, joins the story. She asked me to move over to a new department the state was now by law obligated to provide: short-term care. She had previously run the emergency care unit at the local hospital, and she didn't take poop from anyone. She let us workers build up and run the department because, as any good boss should, she realized that we knew better what we were doing, because we were doing it day to day, and what worked best for us, as long as we stuck within the laws, regulations, staff requirements, and budget, of course. Everything was amazing for almost 2 years. Every month I did the schedules for all 15 of the workers. I did daily planning for all patients. I was in charge of all documentation. And all new guidelines and protocols being implemented since the care provided was brand new in our area. Then the day of the great sadness came, when Lena declared that she was leaving, since she'd been offered a job as the head chief of the local hospital. All of us were devastated to see her go, but I mean, good for her. That's when Super Witch Makktha enters our story. She was already the boss of all the normal elderly care units, where I'd worked before. I'd already moved on to short-term care before she was hired as a boss, and we had heard exclusively bad things about her. We heard she would always do what she thought was the right thing to do, which was almost exclusively wrong because she was underqualified, had no experience from the actual work, and was just a witch in general. Our first staff meeting, she told us, "Either you're with me or against me, and the people who are against me I drown in local lake." Okay, great start. I then tried to explain to her that with our previous boss we'd worked with trust, since Lena had an understanding that us workers actually know what works best in our own department. And Makktha instantly shut it down. "No, I'm the boss, I set the protocols, I decide how my departments run." "Yeah, of course, but I'm just saying we've been working like..." "No, I'm the boss, I'm in charge." And so it began. Makktha started changing the schedules, the protocols, the staff requirements, the daily rehab schedule, the food schedule, not joking by the way, and she lowered the required medical competence to work at our unit. This means there were people working with us who had no prior experience in the job, had no prior experience in the field, barely spoke the language, etc. Keep in mind we had dementia evaluation, palliative care, end-of-life care, stroke rehabilitation, and so on. Malicious compliance. Makktha started trying to micromanage everything we did, literally everything. She canceled all the activities we did for the whole business, like pub nights for the elderly, movie nights, summer cafe outdoors, walks, store visits, everything, all without cost to the business. She stated that we're no longer allowed to finish the schedules on our own and gave us 2 weeks less to finish them, which means we now have 1 week to input the schedule, try to settle it between us 15 people, and then hand it to her. She'd finish it and hand it to us the day before it went into effect. And 8 out of 10 days, shifts weren't covered or we were 6 people working the same weekend. Supposed to be 3. So I told Makktha that I've been managing the schedule for years and was happy to keep doing it, and that she'd still have it 2 weeks early. No. I told her that our activities were 100% within paid hours and no strain on the day-to-day normal business and we want to keep doing them. No. I told her that we'd prefer to keep doing things as we'd been doing them for years because it worked very well. No. Obviously, I was upset. So were my coworkers, but they never spoke up. That was my job, I guess. There were a lot of incidents that I'm not gonna bother bringing up, but just imagine that anything we ever wanted to do for our patients or the people in the dementia units, or for the well-being of the staff, was just no. One thing that had been consistent since I started working there when I was 17, 27 at this point in the story, is that when you apply for vacation or any kind of leave, you input the leave request, and then you request a temp to cover your shift. And then you inform your boss that you've done both those things. Always been like that. Always. So I did. I requested a day's leave. My mom had a doctor's thing in town a few hours from here. I input the temp request and then I walked to the boss's office and informed her. She loses it. Maybe because Case's boss was there? I don't know, but she starts yelling, telling me that I'm not allowed to request temps, that's her job. I stand there and take it like a good employee and just say, okay, won't happen again. Big surprise for her when the next staff meeting comes around, there suddenly weren't any staff on the actual ward, and a local politician was sat waiting with her mother, who was being committed to my ward that day, for over 2 hours. I wonder who made sure they were arriving at that time on that day. I told my boss's boss exactly why there weren't any temps scheduled for the meeting. Kesa got fired. Will make me smile for the rest of my life. So if you were in OP's situation and you had such a good thing going here for these elderly care patients and patients with serious issues or end-of-life care, and this boss starts shutting down all of these things, what would you do? Let me know what you would want to do in the comments below. Grumpy client doesn't appreciate my logic. I have a client who is not kind and I can't help myself when I talk to him. I have no patience for people who aren't kind. Here are 2 stories. I posted the second one previously when I had a different username. Hi, is this X? Client says, who else would it be? Well, I could have dialed the wrong number. I guess so. Client hangs up. Client says, where is X? He is in his office. Would you like to talk to him? I asked for him, didn't I? No, you asked where he was. Client hangs up. He clearly isn't used to anyone standing up to him, no matter how passively. We will see how far we get during our next conversation. Honestly, I'm surprised OP can get away with talking like that to a client. Even though OP is justified in the situation, usually you're not allowed to say stuff like that to any kind of a client regardless. Can I at least get your number? Sure thing. So this didn't happen to me, it happened to my coworker, but I was at the register right next to her when it happened. Cast, friend, my coworker who did the malicious compliance, old man, antagonist of the story, and me, take a wild guess. This happened a few years ago when I was 17 and my friend was 18. We worked at a grocery store that had 4 registers set up in groups of 2, so me and my friend were the ones on 2 of the registers, meaning we shared the same behind the counter space. We both have customers in line and are checking them out. I can hear everything going on as we are literally 2 feet away from each other. Enter old man. Old man looked a lot older than us, so he's obviously too old to be hitting on an 18-year-old, but that's exactly what he does. Paraphrasing because it's been a few years, but you get the gist.
Hey there, beautiful.
Friend in customer service voice. Hello, how are you today?
Better now that I got to see someone as gorgeous as you.
That's nice. Did you find everything okay?
Oh yes I did.
Winks. At this point, I'm only half paying attention to the person I'm checking out and focusing on the conversation happening behind me because gag.
Can I take you out on a date?
No thank you. Your total is...
Come on, please. I'll take you out somewhere nice. You can get all dressed up and fancy.
No, I'm not interested. Here's your receipt.
Can I at least get your phone number, gorgeous?
Cue malicious compliance. Sure thing. She proceeds to grab one of our store's business cards that obviously had the store phone number on it, hands it to him and says, here you go, have a nice day. Old man is angry and grabs his groceries and storms out. I turned and asked my friend if she was okay and everything, and she was a little shaken up but told me that she was glad she got to mess with him. Not sure how many other customers heard the interaction, but we just laughed about it and went back to our work. With all the creepy pressure being put on OP's friend, that was a lot of really impressive quick wit and smarts being shown off right there to not only push back against the advances, but upset them and get them just shuffling out of the store all upset. That was some good work. I don't want to wait. I'm a doctor and my clinic has a lot of very sick people. My country has a mixed public, no cost to the patient, yay, and private system. I am a proud public-only doc. My bank manager would prefer I wasn't, but my hospital outpatient clinics are often overbooked, as when someone rings me with a problem, I see them in my next clinic regardless of how booked it is. One morning I had a lot of sick patients and people were waiting for an hour or two. Enter Mr. Private Patient. Had been referred to me from the private paying sector. Of note, he was not paying to see me. I could hear him berating the administration staff and being really rude to them. When I finally called him in, I apologized for the wait. He was as sweet as pie initially, but kept having digs at the wait.
Didn't think my legs would work after all that sitting. The secretaries clearly don't know how to order patients.
After sorting out his problem, he complained again. I said, I'm sorry, but if someone is sick, I overbooked to sort them out quickly, and it means that, well, people like you may wait.
Well, that's not how I'd run my business.
This, fortunately, is not a business.
Well, it's not good enough.
Sounding a bit like Vernon Dursley, dear readers, malicious compliance raised its ugly head. Well, I'm thinking of a new system where people can opt not to wait. If you want to be in it, we would see you automatically at or near your appointment time.
That's more like it, I'd like that.
He saw my grin.
How would it work?
If you want the system, then if you are sick and ring to see me, we would book you in the next unbooked slot, not the next clinic. You could see the cogs turning.
So how long would that be?
About 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, I'll wait then.
And he did. This doctor is out there doing their best to make sure that anybody who needs medical attention in a non-emergency scenario can get it next day or next appointment day. It's easy to be upset if you come from the private sector and you got to see everybody every time, on time, whenever you paid for it. But somebody overbooking just to help the public out, that's an incredibly kind person, and they need to realize that it's worth the wait. But with that being said, that's all the stories we have for today, so what I want to know is which of these stories that was read today are your personal favorite and why? Let me know why in the comments down below. And thank you all so much for watching and listening to the Storytime channel. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, and don't forget to turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. Thank you all again for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.